If you're in Bank of Canada jail, they're not going to save you. They're not going to free you. You're going to be in limbo for a while.
So we have no hope, Robert. On this episode of Real Estate Chat with
Jonder Perez.
and Robert Eid, we're going to be talking about what everybody's talking about, and it is the fact that Bank of Canada announcement is coming up. Is it what, a week, 2 weeks? We have long
If there's
weekend.
something or other of June, yeah.
So
So I guess
first,
it's more like 2 weeks, but yeah.
and so what Robert said at the very beginning of this, as we were casually chatting about it, is the fact that, we've talked about this many times on previous episodes. Make sure you click like and subscribe. At a quarter point, if that, and I know many naysayers of our real estate chat community are still going to say, hey, Robert Jonder, economist, everybody's been wrong. No rate drops. In fact, rates stay the same. But if there is one in June, quarter point will not save you, Robert. Will not save anybody.
Well, we looked at an article where the headline writer had a very clickable headline saying would-be homebuyers are in limbo and only the Bank of Canada can free them. Now that's a very cute headline, but and then the article goes on and it talks from a mortgage broker standpoint of pros and cons and what's happening, that yes, there is going to be perhaps a half a point drop in interest rates this year, Bank of Canada following the Federal Reserve. And now the Federal Reserve is in a pinch that they dare not drop interest rates in the United States, even if it's warranted. Some people say it's not warranted because they would be deemed to be playing a political game of making things good in an election year. So they're in a spot. Now, the Bank of Canada cannot be too independent of the Federal Reserve, even though they say they are. They're not independent of government, even though they say they are. But the Bank of Canada is not going to drop interest rates very quickly. The thing that would be the most influence on the Bank of Canada is not what Mr. and Mrs. Homeowner or homebuyer are caring about, is the impact on the federal, the provincial, and the municipal budgets where they are in deficit. They have borrowed money, they have got debt, and now they're paying public debt charges. Those public debt charges are zooming up to consume a greater and greater percentage of the expenditures. Actually, they're outside of expenditure of the share of revenue that is gobbled up is going to public debt charges. So that is going to be the influence where the government says, look, it's costing us so much money. Just like the home buyer says, this monthly payment is too much because the interest rates are too high, will be the greater factor on the Bank of Canada than anybody else. So if you're feeling trapped because of the Bank of Canada rate, don't expect them to do something very fast to save your situation. So keep saving your money. And I think he's got 4 or 5 points pro and 4 or 5 points. Let's give him credit. Robert McLister. He's got a column that the pros are thanks to nonstop immigration, household growth will keep barreling higher. That's not quite true. Core inflation will likely continue easing, allowing mortgage rates to fall by year end. Fall. Okay, what's that? Quarter, a half, like we said, who cares? Given higher interest rates, no low new construction pre-sales, counterproductive municipal regulation, high building costs, home supply will continue to lag household growth. Yeah. Incomes will likely keep rising above inflation. No, only in the public sector. One more, strong stock markets and corporate profits will keep wealth effects alive, bulking up the bank accounts of prospective buyers or their family benefactors. If they haven't bought by now, then they have a negative attitude towards buying. So they're going to say, I told you it's going to break, it's going to break, it's going to break. And they're just going to keep on that path until they're proved absolutely wrong. On the other side, defaults will keep rising despite being 46% below the long run average. True. More people are defaulting. You're seeing more power sales. People who bought with the minimum down payment at the very end, they're underwater and they're saying, I can't. And then something happens. They lose a tenant, they lose their job, they lose their, and so they just can't handle it anymore. Unemployment will keep climbing despite affecting homeowners less than renters. Yes, and it matters when you lose your job. Lower rates will draw out home sellers. I don't know what that means. Reinflation remains a risk to mortgage rates. Yes, and that's what's kept these false rallies both going, is that we had house prices bidded up, not falling down. And the Bank of Canada is saying, I can't drop rates now if prices are going up or prices are staying flat. Like flat is the new not down. Um, it's a conundrum. I'm glad I'm not them.
Well, I mean, that's the biggest question is what's going to happen with prices because you've got sellers right now who have expectations of a certain price that they want to get. Some are getting them, some are not. Mind you, if you are doing a buy and sell, you're doing a sell, you sell your home and you buy in the same market, doesn't really matter because as long as the prices are coinciding with each other, or you're playing a bit of arbitrage by moving out somewhere where it's cheaper and you're
Yeah.
so expensive city
You're
home.
just corks floating on the ocean. You go up
Exactly.
with the tide or down with the tide.
But I think this is more so, the first time buyers
And the
who
last
are
time seller.
and last time sellers who are sitting on the proverbial fence and waiting for that. Like I wanted to believe for the longest time, and you, I guess you say something enough times that you start to believe it. But like if you're in the market, you're in the market. Like I don't see a lot of people that are sitting and they're going to point to the rates and a quarter happens and then all of a sudden it's fixed their problems. I don't think that's. I
No, that's
mean,
not what happens. But people are going off polls. And so if you're walking down the street on the way to buy a coffee and someone stops you and says, are you a homeowner? No. Are you a prospective homeowner? Yes. You don't want to say something that makes you look bad. And so now you're based on 107 people who are sort of selected because of the street they're walking on. Other people, they phone into a poll or they log into a poll that's on the internet. People who self-select are not a cross section. And as we've said many, many times before, that, well, I guess you said it right now. If you're in the market, you're in the market. You have an objective, you want to achieve it. And where you are now is unsatisfactory. Now, if you can put up with where you are now, then you're just a bargain hunter. And if you have an objective, like you're a seller, you have an objective, you want to go to Florida, you want to start living at the cottage, you want to move into the retirement home, or your partner has uh, an affliction or has died. You must get rid of your existing home. It doesn't serve the purpose anymore. You'd rather have the money than the accommodation. Then you sell.
yeah. So
And
the sales that are like, if you watch our last episode and Robert talked about the sales charts and the movements, these are people that genuinely have to buy and sell. And I know in some past episodes and in some comments, spec buying and selling maybe formed a huge part of the run up in prices and the run up in sales and
yeah, of course, it's a
dwindling.
component.
So now you're hardly hearing about, oh, there's supply issues. There's a lack of supply. There's inventory. There's enough inventory out there. And
And
now
that's what we're hearing. And
no,
then the pre-sales, they're saying, oh, we're going to postpone this project, or we're going to delay the closing, or we're not going to build it on schedule.
till the
Because,
next till the next run up of high prices and inventory issues and supply issues and government
yeah,
getting blamed for red tape. But anyway, let us know what you think. The article will be linked in the description of this particular episode. Make sure you follow along and you know let us know what you think about this article. And we'll should we run a poll or should we run a pool of rates up, down, sideways? What are we gonna do, Robert, to
well,
have
it's going to be 40% up, 40% down, 20% don't know. So we
okay,
already know the answer.
there you go. All right. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching this episode of Real Estate Chat. Take care and bye for now.
See you later. And again.